So Danny, I guess just to get started, great win at the weekend against Terranure in the Cup. How do you think that sets us up for the week ahead?
Yeah, no, listen, the girls played really well on Saturday. They implemented the things we wanted to do in the game, and I think it puts in a good position going into the game Saturday. Obviously, look, it's completely different opposition because Terranure didn't really come at us or cause us any problems, and Rovers are not going to sit back and let us have the ball for 90 minutes of the game and dictate what we want to do with it. So it's a completely different opposition, but I think if we can take some of the elements of what we did on Saturday into this weekend in terms of how good we was in possession, I think it really sets us up going into the game.
Yeah, and I guess to follow on from that, Eva, you probably aren't as used to having as much time and space and being able to dictate the style of play and the way we play as much, in a women's Premier Division game. Was that a different challenge? And kind of, I suppose, what do you see as the challenge then when you're kind of facing a Rovers midfield that is, full of quality?
Yeah, I thought it was quite hard, especially first half. And they set up really well, and we had loads of the ball, and it's hard to break them down. But in second half, then I think we just got used to our bearings and got through them. And then against Rovers, we're just going to have to move the ball quicker. It's like a different challenge against them. They'll be quick and stuff.
Yeah. And I suppose Rovers coming down at the weekend, then look, they've announced Tegan Ruddy, a new signing this week. They've a galaxy of stars at this stage, but does the game set us up properly for that, or is there too much of a gap to kind of read too much into the Terranure game, Danny?
I think you can't read too much into the Terranure game. I think that the gap is quite fast. I think that the women's league is moving forward and really developing, and I think that it's improving week on week. And I think that we're kind of leaving the women's league, the schoolgirls league or the women's league behind in terms of what we're trying to do and the clubs are trying to implement. So I think you can't really compare the two. I think that if we have a good week in training and we approach the game in the right way, that I think we can get a very positive result come Saturday. I mean, look, yeah, they've got some good players but so have we. And I think on our day that we can beat anybody. And I wouldn't be afraid of playing against Shamrock Rovers in any way. I think that we've just got to approach it in the right way, and we've got to go out and believe in our own ability and what we can do on the day. And I really do believe we can get a positive result.
Yeah, and I guess that first time we played them up in Tal earlier in the season, that first half in particular, I thought City were outstanding. And it wasn't like we were just holding Rovers at bay. We created some really good chances, and I think that showed that, as you say, on our day, we can put it up to any team. And so I suppose, will they be a little bit more aware of what we can deliver now that they've seen us in action?
Yeah, no, I think they will, and I think that they're probably, I wouldn't say afraid of playing against us, but I'd say they're aware of what we can do. And I think, on the day, if we'd have taken our chances, we'd have probably been going in at half-time 2-0 up. I think, as a staff and as a group of players, that we could have probably manipulated the second half a little bit better to get a more positive result out of the game. I think first half we had got our tactics spot on. I think they changed things a little bit first half, and we probably was a bit slow in adapting to that. But we learn our lessons from that, and we'll implement our game plan going into this Saturday. And look, we believe that we can get an upset out of the game, and no one expects us to win. So the pressure isn't on us to come here and do well. The pressure is on us to, keep improving, keep getting better. And for us, we want to go into the game and, as I said, get a positive result out of it.
Yeah, and I suppose the flip side of that is that when you've got Shamrock Rovers coming down and they have their World Cup stars and their new signings, is there pressure on them now to go out and win every game? Because there's going to be interest in those girls that play in the World Cup. Is everyone going to be upping their game just to show that, I know they're not top of the league, but that Rovers are kind of one to watch and one to beat now?
Yeah, I think so. I think, look, we've got to 11 o'clock before Abby Larkin could end up getting her move to England. So, she might not be playing, but look, if she's gone by then it's another player that less we have to worry about. But I think we've got players in our team that other teams in that a little bit of fear of, with the likes of Fiona, Eva, Ellie O'Brien. We've got players who teams have a fear of playing against now, whereas I would have said at the start of the year we probably didn't have that, but now we do. And I think that, you know, we just got to not worry about them in terms of their personnel. We've got to worry about what we do as a team and as a collective, as a staff and players, and make sure that the things we work on during the week in training we can implement in the game. And then look, we believe we can go and get a positive result out of the game, and I think that's the biggest thing for us, is making sure that we implement our game plan and we'll be able to do that.
I suppose, even one for you, I mean, I know Fianna played a kind of a more central role against Terranure, and having herself and Heidi up front as a two, was that kind of something that kind of created a little more opening from your point of view, you know, trying to get that ball forward more quickly? And I know it'll be a different challenge from the Shamrock Rovers, but you know, is that something that we'd like to see this weekend again?
Yeah, I think Heidi and Fianna both work off each other so well. Like when one drops in, the other goes in behind. But like Fianna, I love playing with her because she just makes in runs behind. Like she makes my job easy to give her the ball. So yeah.
Yeah, I saw a few people comment that Fianna's runs were starting to be reminiscent to John O'Flynn, just off the shoulder. Is that something that he's introducing with her?
Yeah, look, John's been in and trying to help the girls in terms of ideas of where to be, and you know, when players like Eva have good possession, because I think everyone's commented on the actual touch from Fianna, but the ball makes the run, and Eva's ball actually makes a move into that area to pick it up and finish it, and the ball kind of hasn't been noticed as much as Fianna's touch. But you know, for us, it's, you know, something that we're working on. The run kind of makes that decision for the player on the ball that now I've got that pass to play to. And I think some of her runs and some of Heidi's movement, especially in the second half, both of the girls worked off each other really well, and it implemented something. But for us, like, it doesn't mean that we might not play 4-4-2 against Rovers on Saturday, but it was something worth looking at in terms of that game in particular, because we felt if we have two up, we can go and really press them and cause them more problems. But you know, look, we might go back to a 3-4-3. We ain't decided yet, so I think everyone kind of expects us to play a 4-4-2, but that ain't necessarily the case.
And Eva, you in the game at the weekend, you were breaking lines, got into the box on a couple of occasions. Obviously, you had a great save from their keeper for Heidi's tap-in, but then nice to get on the score sheet yourself at the end. There was no chance you were crossing that for Christina Tring and laid on anyway.
Yeah, no, I was delighted. I missed one a couple of minutes earlier when I dinked it over the keeper, but no, I was delighted to get that at the end.
Very good. What I might do is I might just ask kind of, like, obviously there is the Abby Larkin on your Gorman thing, but Eva, as a player and someone who's been around the league now a couple of years, do you think that there's a legacy there for the Women's National League, and what kind of does it mean as a player yourself to see how well Ireland did the World Cup, getting to a World Cup? Is that something that kind of, there's an aspiration there for you now because you've seen it done before and you know it can be done?
Yeah, it's like that's the big dream for me. I'd love to break through into the Irish team and go to a World Cup, and it just makes it more real then when you see Women's National League players going off, like the likes of Abby Larkin. Like, she's so young but she's so talented, and Anya Gorman, even, like, she's a lot older than me, so it gives me a bit of time. Like, if she can go at that age, hopefully I'll make it to one, hopefully.
And I suppose, Danny, from more an organisation or looking at it from a higher level point of view, is there a way that clubs and the league as a whole, like, I know, look, we're doing a promotion with the club for tickets at the weekend, like how does the league and how do clubs kind of grasp that you know, making sure there's a legacy out of what's gone on in the last couple of months in terms around the positivity around the women's team?
Yeah, no, I don't think it could. I think it's got to keep progressing. I think that you can't do it just for the World Cup and then expect, you know, the FAI have got to continue to grow the game, and so have we as managers and as players and as coaches and as a club have all got to do it as well, and all got our part to play in it. But I think, like, there's a lot of good young talent in the league, and I do think over the next 4 or 5 years that you'll see a lot of girls going across the water to play in England, and because if you notice now, a lot of the English clubs are now looking into the league here and looking at players. So I think that we've all got a part to play in it, and we've got to continue to grow it. But it still needs huge amounts of investment, and I still think that, you know, from everybody, it needs the investment to keep growing the game, and it can't be a case of oh well, we've done it for the World Cup and we're okay there. It's got to continue to grow, and it's got to continue to grow at the rate it did before the World Cup.
And I suppose, like, speaking of some of those young players, we obviously have 3 young players who are playing in Portugal at the moment with the Irish under-17s. 2 of them, Ciara Senna and Tona Fitzgerald, might have been involved on Saturday. Obviously, it's a plan without them now, but I guess maybe just have a quick chat on the goalkeeping situation, because we believe Abby's moved on as part of her studies recently, and kind of what challenges does that create for the club, and how are you looking to address it?
Yeah, no, look, we've got goalkeepers within the club that can step up and make the point. I know Eva said she's quite happy to go and goal if we need her, so we can always stick Eva in goal for one if we need to. But no, look, we've got them areas covered, and we kind of have our plans in place of what we need to do. So it's not something that we're massively concerned about. It's a part of what we're going to have to deal with, because we have a lot of young girls, and they're gonna get called up for international games, and we're going to have to accept that they may be missing for league games, but we, as a club, we've got to be able to deal with that, and we have to have enough players in place that can step in and take them positions. But look, as I said, we've got cover in them positions, and we're quite comfortable where we're at the moment. But look, as I said, like, Eva's quite happy to jump in goal if we needed to go in goal, so we'll be fine. So just the only problem is she might start dribbling from her own area. That's the problem.
Dribbling from her own path. Yeah, I suppose, look, Eva, one thing, and I hope you don't mind me touching on it. Obviously, you've had a couple of months now where you've been playing consistently, but you also had the leaving cert. And I know you did quite well, because I had sent you a message earlier on. But what was that like? Just because we have got so many young players there, that they do look up to you, and others around you, like, Laura and Alex had the leaving cert as well this year, and Chloe. What was that like as a kind of individually, as a challenge, and planning your football and your life and everything else, with the pressure that's on the leaving cert these days?
Yeah, it was grand. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, take a break, and it's something I talked to my parents about, but we just managed like how I was gonna do school, study and play at the same time, and I'm glad in the end that I didn't take a break, because it's important as well not to have the head in the box all the time. But yeah, it worked out anyway well in the end, and I got my course, so yeah, I'm happy out.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And look, I suppose kind of as a follow-on from that then, like obviously Cork City have the relationship at UCC, but I mean, as a young player coming through, I mean, is the importance of education, is that something that's kind of in your mind as well as you're kind of progressing through the ranks?
Yeah, me and my parents always said that getting a college degree is important, because the money in the women's game isn't as good as the men's, so if I got injured or anything like that, there's nothing to fall back on. So I'm going to go to UCC for my 4 years and then see what happens after that.
Very good. And Danny's smiling because he's got you on a 4-year contract there.
I was waiting for that afterwards. Yeah. No, look, I think for me as a coach, you don't realise how hard it is at that time of year for players like Eva, and like when they're going through what they're having to study, and the amount of pressure on them and the amount of study they have to do is difficult, and to be able to manage both is quite a hard thing to do. And like, I didn't go to school, so like I can't compare to what she had to do, and like for her to be able to do it and still have a level of performance that she had on the pitch, with the added stress of that as well, is exceptional for the girls to be able to do. And it's not for every girl. Not every girl can handle that, and some need to have a break. But like, to be able to do both together and still get the points that she did, and still get onto the course that she got onto, she needs to be very proud of herself.
Absolutely, you're here. I suppose, look, I might wrap up there with just a general question. If there's any injuries or anyone coming back that you want to talk about ahead of the weekend, or are we working off outside of those girls that are involved in the Irish under-17s, or are we pretty much at full strength?
Chloe's out now, so Chloe looks to be kind of 6 to 8 weeks. Has a slight fracture in her I think it's her fibula, that she has it in her fibula. Zara's over with specialist in London today, so at the moment Zara could be out for the season. She might get one game, but we won't know until she sees a specialist, and we get feedback from that. Ciara Mack has a slight knock, and Neve has a slight knock. Laura Shine's probably still a little bit away from playing. She had a injury that kind of flared up last couple of weeks ago, and we're kind of monitoring that. And other than that, we more or less have everyone fit, and we're going to wrap them up in cotton wool this week and keep them ready for Saturday.
Yeah, and I suppose the last question, there's obviously coverage of the promotion around tickets for the game. Like we have our stars. The attendances have been really good this year as compared to previous years. I suppose, what would you say to supporters, especially young girls and young boys that have enjoyed the Women's World Cup? And I guess there's a chance now to see local stars in action and players you might see in future World Cups.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like a lot of the girls that we have, I do honestly think that you'll see them in future World Cups, and I do think that we've got a lot of young talent that, I remember being at Turner's Cross and watching France and Ireland under 21s, and Frank Ribery was playing, and you're like going, he was cast in, but like to be able to relate to people and be able to know that you've watched them come through a programme and reach the level that you want to reach as a young girl, it'll only inspire more girls to want to play the game. So like, parents are there and they've got young girls that are playing the game and actually want to play it and a long-term fix for them, then I think getting them out and watching games and being at live football doesn't beat being there and being able to see it. And as I said, like seeing the likes of Eva and Fiona Bradley and Alex and the Zara's when she's back, and a lot of them girls who are going to potentially, I feel, can make the international setup, then like, they can see where they started and how they got there, and it'll only inspire more young girls to play the game.